You woke up today, and before your thoughts even formed sentences, your body already knew. Something was different. Something was dissolving. It wasn't dramatic, not the kind of shift that shouts or crashes. It was subtle, a quiet ache behind your ribs, a dull awareness in your chest, a soft refusal in your spirit to keep pretending. You tried to shake it off. Maybe it was just fatigue, maybe you didn't sleep enough, maybe you were overthinking again. But deep down, you knew it wasn't any of those things. It was the frequency, the unspoken hum that has kept your life moving along the same timelines, the same expectations, the same patterns, the same performances, was thinning, like old scaffolding dissolving around you. This is the moment no one prepares you for. The moment when your old self doesn't quite fit anymore, but your new self hasn't fully arrived. The moment when your mind wants to panic, but your soul wants to rest. The moment when you realize you can't force your way back into what you've outgrown, no matter how hard you try. If you're here, listening to these words, you're already in the transition. And no, you're not broken. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're being reconfigured. What feels like emptiness is actually spaciousness. What feels like numbness is actually neutrality. What feels like disconnection is the first step toward remembering who you were before the world taught you how to forget. So take a breath. Feel the quiet in your chest. That's not absence. It's the signal that something real is coming online. Let's call this what it is, a sacred dismantling, not of your life, but of the false architecture you were taught to build inside yourself. For years, maybe decades, you constructed a reality designed to keep you safe. You learned how to be acceptable, how to be productive, how to be easy to love. You learned how to shrink your instincts, how to camouflage your sensitivity, how to compromise your intuition just enough to belong. And you did belong, at least in the way you were told you should. But at a cost that your nervous system paid quietly every day, until one morning you woke up and felt that undeniable softness in your spirit, that pull to step back, to unplug, to watch the world from behind glass instead of reaching for it. It's not depression. It's not failure. It's not regression. It's your body refusing to keep leaking energy into versions of yourself that expired long ago. You're not here to carry expired frequencies. You're here to become the unfiltered transmission of your own truth. But before that transmission can broadcast, the distortion has to dissolve. That's why you're so tired. That's why everything feels hollow. That's why your old goals feel meaningless. Because your field is refusing to energize the stories that once defined you. This is the sacred dismantling, the unraveling of everything you built out of survival, the release of identities that were never fully yours, the collapse of timelines that can't hold your new resonance. You don't have to fight this. You don't have to fix it. You only have to breathe through it, because on the other side of this emptiness is something you haven't felt in years, a reality that doesn't require your exhaustion to feel real. If you could see yourself from a higher vantage point right now, you'd understand why everything feels so unstable. You'd see the old field, the grid of beliefs, habits, and inherited patterns crumbling like dried petals. You'd see the new frequency, luminous and unfamiliar, waiting just beyond the reach of your current identity. And you'd see yourself standing in the middle, not broken, but being emptied of everything that no longer belongs. Most people will never stay in this space long enough to let it transform them. They will feel the dissonance and rush to rebuild something, anything, to make the discomfort go away. They will grasp at old ambitions, old relationships, old ideas of purpose, just to fill the void. But you are different. Something in you remembers that emptiness is not the enemy. Something in you knows that collapse is a prelude to coherence. Something in you can feel that clarity doesn't emerge from effort, but from surrender. So when your mind tries to tell you that you're lost, remind it. Lost is just a label for the moment before the new map arrives. This isn't about finding the next thing to do. It's about learning how to rest while everything you thought you were dissolves into everything you were meant to become. That's why you can't fake your old excitement. That's why your nervous system flinches at the thought of returning to routines that once felt safe. That's why your body feels heavy in spaces that demand your performance. You are outgrowing your former self in real time. You don't have to understand this. You don't have to explain it. You only have to trust that this unraveling has a purpose, even if it feels like an ending, because it is an ending, just not of you. It's the ending of who you had to be in order to survive. Take a breath and feel it. The quiet beneath the chaos. That's the part of you that has never been confused. Even now, as your identity unravels, as old attachments dissolve, as familiar rhythms fade, there is a deeper layer within you that remains unshaken. A layer that isn't asking for clarity. A layer that doesn't need a plan. A layer that simply knows this is the moment you have been preparing for. Because everything that is collapsing in your life right now, every obsolete belief, every outdated commitment, every expired version of you, was constructed to keep you aligned with a field that no longer exists. You can feel it in your body, how your energy retracts from spaces that demand your compliance, how your breath shortens when you pretend to care about what no longer resonates, how your instincts rebel when you try to resurrect a purpose that was never truly yours. This is the gift of the dissolution. It doesn't just strip away illusions, it teaches you how to feel what's real. And what's real now is startling in its simplicity. You are tired of performing. You are tired of proving. You are tired of adjusting your frequency to fit containers that shrink you. You are ready to stop orbiting around what others expect. You are ready to stop negotiating your intuition. You are ready to stop apologizing for your own resonance. This readiness doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It arrives as a quiet refusal to keep pretending. It sounds like, I don't know what comes next, but I know it isn't this. That knowing is not emptiness. It's the first signal of your true alignment returning. Stay in this awareness. You don't need to rush this. You don't need to fill the void with explanations or strategies. What's dissolving now isn't simply a mindset. It's the entire energetic scaffolding that once held your survival identity in place. This is why you feel so raw. This is why you can't muster the old motivation. This is why nothing outside of you feels compelling enough to chase. Because for the first time, your field is refusing to power what is not in integrity. And yes, it's disorienting. Yes, it feels like standing in an abandoned house while all the furniture is being carried out. Yes, your nervous system will try to convince you that something has gone terribly wrong. But nothing is wrong. In fact, everything is finally becoming right. Your true self, the one that existed before conditioning, before compromise, before all the small betrayals of your intuition, is no longer willing to be an afterthought. It is stepping forward, not as a grand revelation, but as a steady presence, a presence that doesn't need validation, a presence that doesn't need to be liked, a presence that doesn't need to perform certainty to deserve rest. This is the part of you that knows how to hold a field while it recalibrates. The part that understands healing is not always comfortable. The part that trusts that what feels like disconnection is really reconnection to something much deeper. So if you feel suspended in between identities, if your mind is desperate to rebuild the old life just to feel safe, if your heart aches for a clarity that hasn't arrived, pause, place your hand on your chest and whisper, I am not here to resurrect what expired. I am here to honor what is rising. And if you can breathe into that truth, you will find that even in the emptiness, there is something solid holding you. Stay with this presence. This is the invitation to become the unshakable witness to your own becoming, not by forcing clarity, not by demanding certainty, but by allowing the collapse to complete itself without interruption. You have spent so many years believing that safety is found in structure, that belonging requires adaptation, that worthiness must be earned by your usefulness. And now, all those agreements are expiring, not because you failed them, but because you outgrew them. You no longer need to pretend you don't feel what you feel. You no longer need to contort yourself to be acceptable. You no longer need to stay loyal to roles that diminish your life force. This is the quiet revolution. The moment you stop leaking energy into a reality that cannot hold your truth. And yes, there will be days when the emptiness feels unbearable. Days when you wonder if you've made a mistake. Days when your body craves the old patterns just to feel momentarily anchored. But this is the threshold, the space where your soul reclaims the territory your survival self once occupied. The space where you remember that your energy is sacred. Your intuition is sovereign, and your presence is enough. There is no map for this phase, no checklist, no timeline. There is only your willingness to stand in the echo of your old life long enough for the new frequency to find you. So take a deep breath and let the noise recede. Place your hand over your heart and remind yourself, I am not here to be defined by what is dissolving. I am here to be revealed by what remains. And if this message feels like it was written for you, if it resonates in your bones, in your breath, in the soft ache behind your ribs, it's because it was. Not as an instruction, but as a reflection of the part of you that already knows you are not ending, you are arriving. Stay in this field, stay in your own signal. And when you're ready, take the first step forward. Not as the person who survived everything, but as the one who finally remembers they were never meant to shrink to fit a life that never belonged to them.